Server. Do I need to learn SQL Server? Yes, that is mandatory. You have to learn SQL Server. So does that mean all the customers are using SQL Server? No, SQL Server is an RDBMS. Okay, in RDBMS, we have different flavors like Oracle, DB2, and MySQL, SQL Server. SQL Server is a Microsoft product. Power BI is also a Microsoft product. Hence, I cover the RDBMS software, which is nothing but the SQL Server, which is Microsoft product, as part of this training program. It's all relevant, Microsoft product. Okay, the Power BI is Microsoft product. SSI is also Microsoft product. Azure is also Microsoft Cloud. And all the relevant Microsoft related skill sets, if you learn it, marketing your profile is pretty simple, pretty easier. Okay. That is what the customers are also using it, okay, because they don't want to have have an headache of managing multiple vendors. If you buy from different vendors, what will happen? See, in your apartment, you have lift maintenance, you have one vendor, and you have the water tank, you have some other vendor. If a single vendor gives all the service, you will get additional discount, and at the same time, you don't have to have the headache of having multiple vendors' contact number, following up with them, right? So that's the same analogy is applicable here also. Most of the customers, they go by one specific vendors as long as possible. Okay, but there are cases, yes, we cannot completely rely on one vendor. Okay, we'll start with understand what is data analytics is all about first. Okay. What is data analytics? Just give me a second. I think I opened a wrong PowerPoint. Just give me a second. What is analytics? We'll start with the data analytics. Okay, data analytics is nothing but exploring the huge amount of data. Okay, it's a process of exploring large, complex data. Why do we need to explore the data? Why do we need to explore the data? To understand the trends and patterns or the hidden patterns that are there in your data set, you want to understand. And also you want to understand the customer behavior, and you want to understand the market customers' preferences to make smarter decisions. If I know the customer preferences well ahead, so what I can do is I can stock up the products that are most frequently purchased by the customers. Right. So in that case, what will happen is it will improve the customer experience as and when they walk into my mall or my store, retail store. If they can find the products, whatever they wanted to buy it, if those products are available, then they will be happy, right? Then they will be happy. So whenever they walk into my shop, and if they don't find the product what they wanted, so obviously, right, they will lose trust on us. Definitely, next time they will not come to your shop. But again, you cannot keep all the products by the customers. Anything related to the essential items, at least the basic or the essential items, whatever the customer buy it, you need to stock up those items, right? All right. So otherwise, what will happen? It will the customer will get frustrated, right? So whenever I go to the shop, even the essential grocery products are not available, right? So now the volume of the data is very, very huge. Okay, the humongous amount of data is available. Okay, volume of the data is very huge, and we are using Hadoop software. Hadoop software is, gained a lot of popularity to deal with big data related challenges. Most of the enterprise, they were posing a lot of challenges with respect to the growing huge amount of data within their enterprises or organizations. Okay, so what they did, the traditional RDBMS like MySQL, SQL Server, or Oracle were not scalable because nowadays the volume of the data, produced by each enterprise are in terms of petabytes, not in terms of terabytes. The volume of data are very, very humongous. For example, Facebook, they were using MySQL database to store their data. So, so at one point in time, right, in way back in 2007 or 8, somewhere between that time, they could see a tremendous increase in their user base. Sudden surge in the number of users started using Facebook and all. Their traditional MySQL database was not capable in order to store the data, and at the same time, it is not scalable. Multiple users, when they start posting their comments, if they want to interact with each other, it took longer time. And again, the volume of the data per day itself, they found it close to 1 petabyte. Storing the data itself, if it takes 1 month time, then how for example, you are posting an image. I should be able to see the image, whatever he posted, because I'm following you in the Instagram or in the Facebook, right? If it takes a longer time to see the post which you published it, right? So it is not helpful, right? That is the reason why what they started doing is they're trying to adapt the Hadoop software. Hadoop software deals with all kind of data related problems, like 3V related challenges: volume, velocity, variety. I just write it here. So the big data, and because of big data, right? So most of the enterprise, they were posing this kind of volume, velocity, and then variety. On the one hand, the volume of the data are very huge, petabyte and above. The volume of the data are being generated in a single day itself. Gone are the days, if you see 15 years back or 18 years back, even the 5-year or 10-year data put together, maybe 100 terabyte they get. I mean, they used to get the volume of the data. Okay. Now it is, within a single day, Google, if you take a look at the Google, right? Within a single day, they generate petabyte and above volume of the data within a single. This is in the past, 10 years of data or 5 years of data itself put together 100 terabyte volume of data they used to generate, they used to have it. Okay. But now, even the daily data itself comes around close to petabyte. You just think about the Facebook users, right? Millions and millions of users are there on a daily basis. If you see, they are uploading a lot of content in Facebook and social media sites, right? So in that case, what happened? Per day itself, the humongous amount of data are being generated, and that too, it's pretty faster. Okay, the volume of data is very high, and the speed at which the data are being generated is pretty fast. Okay, not like 10 year every 10 years, if you see, you will have only 100 terabyte. Now, within the single day itself, it produces close to 1 petabyte or 1 petabyte volume of data are being generated. To complicate this, the variety of the data are completely different nowadays. So those days we used to get structured data. Only now we are getting unstructured data, semi-structured data, semi-structured data. Okay, these are the type of data we are getting it. So hence most of the enterprises, they are posing challenges with these 3 V's: volume, velocity, variety. To address these challenges, there is something called Hadoop software. Okay, Hadoop software was developed. With Hadoop software, you can store how much ever volume of data you want to store it, you can store it. Okay, because it has 2 salient features. One is distributed storage, and the parallel computing or distributed computing, parallel computing. Let's say I have, we have 4 papers, four full-scape papers, okay? And each paper, has, each branch of my retail stores transactions are there. This is, let's this is a Bangalore, this is Pune, and this is Delhi. This is, let's Mumbai, okay? So in the papers are there. You assume that, we are yet to do the computerization. So whatever the transaction, they wrote it everything in each paper, in each location. When I asked these 4 different location managers, they sent the transaction detail via courier. After I open this and I can see that these papers are there. If I ask one person, if I put one staff to find out the total sales we made in all these 4 locations, how much time it will take? It takes a lot of time, right? Let's say each paper contains, 1,000 transactions. Let's 100 transactions. Okay, something like invoice number, invoice date, and customer key and product key and so on, quantity, unit price, discount, something like that. Okay, so your sales amount is also there. To find out the total sales, we need to add the sales amount for each and every transaction, right? So take first invoice and add the first invoice, sales amount, second invoice. You need to total it. If I put one staff, it's, one staff to compute the total on a single paper, it takes 4 hours. And 4 regions put together, approximately 4 into 4, 8 hours are required to find out the total sales across these 4 locations. If I put 4 staffs, instead of one staff, if I put 4 staffs, and if I distribute this paper to each individual, so each person, sorry, here 16 hours, right? Sorry, 4 into 4, 16 hours. If I distribute it to this paper to each and every person, each person has to, and if I give it, these 4 papers to each individual, what will happen? How long it will take to do the total? How long it will take to do the computation of total sales or each location? 4 hours only, right? If all these 4 staffs, they perform the total simultaneously, it requires just 4 hours. The same analogy is happening here also. You are distributing the storage, in the sense distributing the each file in the sense papers, data to each individual staff. Okay, distributed storage. And parallel computing is something like all the 4 staffs, they are computing the total sales simultaneously. So now you understood how, how the Hadoop works, right? The distributed storage, distributing the workload, okay, and then parallel computing. Hence, the performance is pretty fast. Instead of computing computing the total sales by 16 hours, since 4 people are working simultaneously, you can get the answer in 4 hours time to find out the total sales, all the 4 regions or locations put together, right? So that is when the Hadoop came into picture. So now the question is, why are we talking about Hadoop, all the things? Yes, in real-time scenario, you'll be working with huge volume. Don't expect you will get data in Excel file, 100 records, 200 records. Okay, because in the data warehouse, there is something called data warehouse that is not specific to Hadoop, that is not specific to Power BI. That is the umbrella term. Okay, that is an umbrella term. Data warehouse is meant for analytics. That's a kind of a container. That is where they store all the entire companies or the enterprises data. They store it in a centralized location called data warehouse. Okay, and there are some data, right? Even in Hadoop, there is something called Hive. Hive is a data warehouse. Hive. Hive is part of your Hadoop software. Okay, you just think that way. It's an ecosystem component of your Hadoop, and Hive is a data. They store it here. So this is the data warehouse is meant for analytics. The data warehouse is meant for analytics. First, let us understand the big picture very clearly. Okay. So, okay, before we jump in with the data warehouse, all the thing. First of all, what is analytics? That is what, yes, even in our day-to-day life, knowingly or unknowingly, we are doing the analytics, isn't it? So when you look at your bank statement, the credit card statement or savings account, when you see that, you do analysis, why my saving is very less. So now it's hardly, right, 5th of, let's assume that, today is 10th July. Just, 9 days back, I got my salary. Now I can see the balance is very, very less. Though I earned more, why my balance is very less? Because you have some ECS, right? You borrowed loan, and even the credit card also, will get whatever the amount that you spend it, right? That will be deducted from your savings account automatically. So now by looking at the statement, you will get to know where you spend more, why your saving is less, or balance is less. Okay, and how much interest you are paying it in the case of loan. Okay, are they putting any additional interest? Right, so where you are spending more, and also which which transactions are happening recurrently. For example, you have swiped your card in a website wherein you want to buy, download a image. Let's say you want to send a greeting card. Okay, you went to stock photos website and then Shutterstock or somewhere. Okay, you swiped your card with the intention that you want to download only that image. You want to buy, but that is a recurring payment. Every month, what happens? They will deduct from your account. Every month they will deduct it. It's a recurring, transactions. But your intention was you want to download that image only once. But you know very well it's a recurring thing. But they have an option. You can stop it at any time. But you forgot to, stop that payment. Okay. So what will happen every month unless you monitor or track your balance the statements, credit card statement or savings account statements. How will you get to know what is happening, right? When you every month when you see your statements, you will get to know there is something wrong is happening. Every month these guys a recurring payment is happening. We'll call them and we'll stop it. Okay. So by acting at the right time, you can preempt the further deductions or losses from your your credit card or the savings account, right? So this is the one we do it on a day-to-day basis. But when it comes to enterprise, yes, obviously you need to enterprises now they want to track and monitor what is happening currently in their business and what has happened in the past. They want to see the trend also. By looking at the trend, they can fine-tune their marketing strategy or sales strategies, and or they can come up with the optimal prices. Okay, you have something called pricing analytics. That is one of the complex problem posed by most of the enterprises. Okay, coming up with the optimum price is the biggest challenge. If you specify if you do overpricing, underpricing is also a problem, overpricing is also a problem, right? Optimal price is the biggest challenge, and because you need to sustain the momentum, because your rival companies prices are much lesser than your product. Obviously, your customers will walk out of you, isn't it? So that is the reason why you need to do a lot of analytics. Now, enterprises they need the data analytics, including the predictive analytics as part of their enterprise's DNA. Okay. So why do I need to do the analysis? The simple common sense, if you don't know what is happening in your organization, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? Things can go haywire, right? So hence, exploring the data and analyzing the large data are very much important, right? Without exploring the data, you will not know what is happening. First of all, to explore the data, you need to have the data available. Data are available. Now, with softwares like Hadoop, you can store petabytes in above volume of data. Saying proudly, yes, I have petabytes and above volume of data are available in our data center is not a great thing, right? If a huge volume of the data is available, and at the same time, we are doing lot of analytics, right? We are performing a lot of data analytics. By doing so, we are able to gather the patterns, we are able to find the hidden trends, and also we are able to explore the new correlations. Okay, by doing these things, the enterprises can sustain their momentum, isn't it? So what do you mean by patterns here? So by exploring the data, what patterns you can see it? What patterns you can see? Can someone give me some examples for pattern? What do you mean by pattern? See, if you want, let's say your manager has given you the data, okay, in Excel file. He wants you to create a report and or dashboard. You created that. But to create a report or dashboard, what is that you needed? What is the prerequisite? Data. Obviously, you need to have the data, right? This is the number one prerequisite. So having the data alone sufficient for it to go ahead and create a report or dashboard? No, right? You need to pre-process the data. How good the quality of the data, you need to explore it. In case of any problem with the data, you need to address. Simple example is you have, duplicated transactions are there. the same invoice transaction appears more than one time. So in that case, double counting or triple counting can happen. It can make you to think you are selling, your sales is really good. In reality, the sales is not good. Okay. But since you have the duplicated records, the same invoice transaction repeated multiple times due to data loading issue or something like that, it can make you to think your products, specific product you are selling more, whereas in reality you are not actually selling that much. This is because of the data quality problem. The duplicate of the data or transactions are there. So you need to find out, do we have any duplicate records are there? Before you build the report, you need to do some kind of data exploration from the technical point of view. What do you mean by technical point of view? Do I have any duplicate records are there, or any missing values are there in the business columns? For example, in the quantity column, obviously you need to have the value in it. On price also, you need to have the values, right? If you have missing values in the data set, then you can decide, okay, this data set were given by your manager is not helpful. You can go back and tell him, see, out of this 1,000 transactions, I can see, almost 25% of transaction, we could see blank values are there in price column. Hence, please give me the correct data. Only then I can build the report. Go back and tell him there is no harm, right? So there is a problem here, because after you create the report with these issues, when he noticed that, you should have informed me well ahead. Why did you not ask the data set? Okay, now he has given a good data set, right? But still there are some issues, the duplicate records. But duplicate records, again, you don't have to go back and tell him, remove the duplicate and give him, right? So in case the key columns have missing values, you can ask him. Duplicate records, you yourself can clean it. You will say, hey, why don't you clean it, man? Right? So as part of data pre-processing, we need to explore the data. If required, we need to do the data pre-processing, like removing the duplicate records. And in case of any wrong data type assigned to the columns, you need to convert that as a numeric column. Okay. And also filtering the data. We don't need all the columns. Supposing in your transaction you have 38 columns are there. You don't need all the columns, 38 columns. And in your data set, you have 100 million records are there. You don't need all the records. You don't need all the columns. Out of 38 columns, in your report, you need only hardly, right, so 10 or 12 columns. 10 or 12 columns. Then you are subsetting the columns. So out of 38 columns, you are taking only the 12 columns. You are subsetting the columns. And out of 100 million, you don't need all the 100 million records. If they ask, hey, give me the north and south region sales performance alone, right? The subset of this data only are good. So this is called subsetting the data, is called filtering the data. Okay. So as part of, so that's what I'm saying. So first thing is you need to have the data, how clean the data, how good the data. In case the data has some issues, which you can't do anything from your side, like price is missing 25% transaction, you can ask them to give the correct data. Even after getting the correct data, now let's say let's say they give you some other data file. All the columns have values in it. You don't see any blank values, but you see some kind of duplicate records. Duplicate records, tools like Power BI, you can use it to remove it. Okay. And the wrong data type got assigned, you can change it to the correct data type, and you can filter the data, and you can exclude the columns that you don't need it for your report. All these kind of things that you can do it as part of data pre-processing. Okay, everything is done. Now my data is, good. Third step is you wanted to create a charts. In Power BI, we call charts as a visual, right? You can create a pie chart or donut chart, whatever charts you want, you can create it. What is the end goal of creating the charts or dashboards or reports? The whole objective is, by looking at the reports, the business users, they will understand quickly what is happening currently. So where they need to focus. And they'll try to find out opportunities. Is there any way that I can cut down the cost? For example, let's say you are running a manufacturing unit. This is your manufacturing unit. Okay. And you need to buy raw materials from vendors to produce the produce the finished good. Let's say you want to let's say you're a manufacturer of iron box, okay, but to produce an iron box, what are the spare parts are required, right? There are some spare parts you manufacture, but there are some spare parts you don't manufacture it, right? What you do is you buy it from various vendors, vendor one, vendor two. So what you do is you do some kind of pricing analytics, which vendor prices cheaper, okay, and the quality. So right, the cheaper cost is cheaper, and the quality is good. Is that sufficient for the manufacturing unit to decide? The cost and quality alone is sufficient for no distance also, right? The shipping cost is too high. See, the cost is less, but the shipping cost is too high. So as a manufacturing unit, what you do is you are soliciting the quote from various vendors, and then you store it as a single file. All the vendors' data, you store it here. And then what you do is you create the report, right? You do analytics. You do data analytics, right? So after you combine all the vendors' data into a single file or table, using Power BI, you create a report and then you do analysis. When you do the analysis, you get to know, okay, maybe let's hypothetically, the vendor two is, reasonable. The cost is reasonable and the shipping cost is also reasonable. The delivery duration is also reasonable. Then you shortlist this guy and then you are going to raise a purchase order with this guy, right? So he is supposed to deliver or he is supposed to fulfill your order on time. Okay. So even to choose the best vendor, you need to do analytics. But each vendor, they are sending the data in different files. This guy, V1 is sending the data in JSON file. He says, we are using JSON only, we can give you only JSON. This guy is using Excel. Excel is pretty simple one, fine. This guy is using EDI data. Some vendors, it's a large vendor and he is using Hadoop system, Parquet data I'm going to give. So the challenge here is you are getting the code for the raw materials that you needed from different vendors or in different formats, different file types. You need to combine all the data and store a single file. If everything is a single file, you can compare the prices side by side with the vendors. For example, if you plot it in your chart, right? So vendor 1, vendor 2, and vendor 3 is something like this. Vendor 4 is something like this. Okay. So this is a vendor 1, vendor 2, vendor 3, vendor 4. So obviously, when you see this one gives a quick insight. Hey, this one seems to be very reasonable. And again, you have another chart wherein you will see the delivery time, whose delivery time is good, quoted, right? So they say they would have mentioned on or before 3 days, on or before 2 days. Again, you plot it, you will get to know, hey, this guy seems to be far better, better we can shortlist him and then we will give the orders with this guy. If you don't do analytics, what will happen? What will happen? If you mistakenly place an order with this guy, the cost is very high and at the same time, the delivery time is also very high. Shipping cost is also very high. It will shoot up your cost price. Then how can you give the optimal price to your customer, right? Your cost price itself same as your competitors' selling price. In that case, how can you expect the reasonable margin? Right? On the one hand, you are going to lose your margin. You may end up selling your products with a negative margin, which is not acceptable. Right? Hence, doing the analytics is very much important. Blindly, based on my intuition, if I go ahead and make the decision, it can lead to major disaster. Hence, make sure that to preempt the disaster, any risks, what organization they do is they store the data in a centralized place and then they clean the data, pre-process the data, and then they create the reports. By looking at the reports or dashboards, they will gain an insight quickly. Hey, this guy seems to be far better. Okay. And also track record in the past, which all vendors we ordered, And if you can see the trend here, right? Trend here. And if you see this guy is very reasonable, right? Then you can go buy with him. And apart from this, the finished good. Again, once you listen, once you produce the finished good, the iron box in this example, right? You sell it to the customers. You want to see different models of the iron box produced by you with respect to, year one, let's say 2011, 12, 2013 or so. What is the trend? So I can see the trend is something like, going up. So we sell 3 different models of iron box, model 1, model 2, model 3. And I can see all the 3 models are really going up. We don't see any downward trend. We don't see any downward. It's all going up. Okay, but somewhere here we can see some kind of lackluster with respect to the performance, but still it is going up in 2013. Very good sign. But all the 3 models of these 3 models, this one is really doing good, right? And this one is the top. These are top 1 and top 2 models which we sell it more. And M1 may require, but M1 also we are seeing there is a positive sign that is going up, but it requires some kind of promotional. We need to probably launch some campaign, or we will try to give some special discount or something. When you do, by looking at this, you will gain a quick insight. Now the question is, why M1 is not on par with M2 and M3? Is there any problem with, or are there any problem with the features that we offer it as part of M1? The cost is cheaper, but the features are not much. So here the cost is slightly, the M2 Model 2 cost is slightly more than this one, but the features are really awesome, right? And again, you do the competitor analysis, the same model, right, with your competitor. When you see it, if your product is, cost-wise and features-wise, it's all really good. Obviously, you can see. So that is also one of the driving factor, the price and the delivery time and the customer service, everything is good. There are various factors you need to do analysis. You cannot blindly decide, okay, M1 is, we are not doing good job, simply we can discontinue. But when you do the competitor analysis, one of their major contribution revenue is M1. So why are we not selling M1 well, right? Just by looking at only your product or your business data, you will not get to know that. Okay, so how do you know your competitors' product are selling more? That is where the enterprises, they rope on with the social media data, everything, right? So they will run some the survey, all the things based on which they will decide. Okay, and so let's say my competitor is product M1 model M1 is, they are selling more, but ironically we are not selling well here. Then you need to find out the root cause. Again, you do analytics. When you do the analytics, you get to know that, hey, our competitor, they give more features. Okay, at this cost for this model, at this cost, the same price, whatever is sell, they give more features, and the warranty period is also more. So once you get to know the root cause, and if you change your strategy accordingly, then next quarter also, let's say Q1, Q2, Q3, when you see that, you may find it somewhere here. The M3 may get shifted here, the line may get shifted here, right? But unless you do analytics, how do you get to know? Let's we don't have any, we don't see any report, we don't create any report. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? Nothing is going to, at one point in time, you may lead to shut down your business, whole business, because you did not give attention to the place where you are supposed to give, you did not give it. Right now, you understood with these simple examples, what is analytics and why analytics. By understanding the trend, by looking at the trend, so you will get to know, right, which products are really. But there are cases, again, age based. Within, let's say, for example, you divide your customer based on 3 buckets, age buckets. Okay, 20 to 25-year-old, what is their purchase preference, and 25 to 30, what is the purchase, 30 and above, 35 and above, what is the purchase preferences. By doing analytics in different aspect, you will get to know what opportunities are lying in terms of increasing or boosting your top line and bottom line. What is top line? Top line is your um, the this one, right? The net sales, and the bottom line is your net profit. How you can boost your sales? So unless you perform analytics, how will you get to know where you need to do what? The classic example is in the Ironbox M3 model. They say you just looked at the chart and immediately you compared the similar model with your competitor. You could see that, ironically, your competitor, the same model, they are selling more. The demand is more. Why are we not doing that? So you can act at the right time when you do the data analytics. If you don't do the data analytics and if you don't take the right action at the right time, what will happen? You will definitely fall behind. One day, your bombshell will drop on your head. You end up closing your business. So analytics is very much important. So now enterprises, they not only do the data analytics, the traditional conventional data analytics only, they don't do it. They are going one step further, and then they do something called predictive analytics. Predictive analytics has gained a lot of popularity now. You must have heard about artificial intelligence. That is the one is ruling the roost. The artificial intelligence, the data scientists, they are the one getting paid very high salaries. Even a person with 4 years experience is getting 18 lakhs per annum. Okay. So my student, with 4 years experience, now he is getting 18 lakhs salary. And another student, 9 to 10 year experience guy, now he's getting 30 lakhs. 30 lakhs. And he's working with Pine Labs. So on the one hand, and my other student is working with Tiger Analytics. He became a practice head now. I'm so proud. My student is a practice head. His salary is 68 lakhs per annum. Why they are paid more? Because with the predictive analytics, you can perform advanced analytics. By doing sophisticated advanced analytics, you can drive your company's top line and bottom line more, right? More the skill set you have.